In our last episode, Jamie and I were covering some of the top AI companies that have raised the most money here in the United States. And we want to continue because there's more companies that are super interesting. And I think the reason why it's important to cover all of these is for two reasons. Number one, it's important to know like what companies are raising the most money and what they're doing, because you can expect the most disruption. Now, this isn't a literal analogy, but it's a pretty good sign that if companies are raising hundreds of millions of dollars, there's some really massive disruption that they're about to unlock in that industry, and show you exactly what industries are about to be disrupted. And number two, a lot of these tools, when they're getting this much money and they're making this much disruption, these are really good tools for your business that you should know about to help grow your business. So there's two reasons why we wanted to cover these. So let's get into a couple of them. But Jamie, you were telling me something about a school community. What was I hearing about that?
Yeah, so if you have not heard of our school community yet, you need to go check it out. We will leave a link in the show notes, but we have an awesome community of over 180 members, all who love making money with AI. So if that interests you and you want to learn real practical ways you can either grow your business with AI or just make some side cash with AI, we have tons and tons of real life tips and tricks over there. We share actual ways that we've made money with AI. And there's also a lot of really passionate members who have some really, really creative ideas. This week's episode, we talked all about AI podcasts and how it can take your business to the next level or just grow your online presence in general. Jaeden is the resident expert in that area, and he drops some really, really awesome knowledge bombs. So if that interests you, go check it out. It's only $19 a month right now. The price will continue to go up over time, but it's just a really, really great price to be. So anyways, let's get into this list here. The first on the list we're going to talk about is Together AI. They raised over $106 million, currently putting the value of the company at $1.2 billion. So that's a lot of money. It's a platform designed to create infrastructure and open source generative AI for developing AI models. So Salesforce is one of the major investors, which I thought was interesting. I'd be curious to know what their use case for that would be. But yeah, Jaeden, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing all of the biggest essentially investors put money into this. When you see someone like Salesforce invest, you know that they're actively looking at using, sometimes even acquiring the company in the future. That's kind of how this goes. Salesforce has made a bunch of acquisitions of companies that they previously invested in. But you have NEA, Klein Parker's, Alex Capital that are all putting money into this, which is honestly just huge. Because this is their Series A. So raising $100 million in a Series A is very big, $1.2 billion valuation, very big. And this is all happening in March. So as far as the infrastructure goes, what this also means to me is when you have open source generative AI and they're building tools to help train these models, aka the actual infrastructure. And when you have a company like Salesforce jumping in, they're jumping in because they want to essentially use this tool. They're probably going to get a discount on it. But they want to use this tool and the infrastructure that they're building for training Salesforce's actual AI. This is typically how they work. I have some friends that have been invested in by a Salesforce company, and it's interesting to me to see how that plays out and what the partnerships look like there. So really excited to see what happens with Together AI. Keep your eye on them. The next one we want to talk about is FundGuard. FundGuard just raised $100 million in March. They're a New York-based startup, so not Silicon Valley, but they essentially have an AI-powered investment accounting operations system. So this is for investors and for their accounting operations. And so it's kind of like it feels sort of like a niche use case, like investors accounting. But obviously that is a very big industry, and they're based in New York, which is the financial capital of America. So this seems to be, the place to be. They understand what's kind of going on in this space. A ton of big financial firms there, and they all need accounting. So if they're able to use AI to help automate and expedite that in ways that maybe only financial companies need, this looks like a great thing. So they raised $100 million at a $400 million valuation, meaning they gave about 25% of the company for it. This was a Series C, so it's a little further down the line. And all of this was led by Key One Capital. They had Hamilton Lane and Blumberg Capital and Team 8 that kind of piled into this. So really interesting company.
FunGuard, not Vanguard, right? So, anyways, the next on the list is Celestial AI. They have raised $175 million in their most recent round. They are building optical interconnect technology platform for data centers and AI solutions. So, this one sounds really interesting to me. Obviously, as AI continues to grow and develop, there's going to be specific use cases for each AI, software. So it needs to have a certain set of data that it refers to train it. And so I'm guessing this company Celestial is playing a role in that. They have already in total funded over $338 million. So
Wow.
nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, really, really impressive. And I think one of the biggest areas that's making the most money in this whole AI cycle is just the data centers. They're just, billions and billions are being spent on these from all of the major players, from Amazon to Google to Apple. Everyone's building new data centers to be able to compute all of this AI. So once you're working in that industry, it's a big one. So Celestial AI is a great player. The next one I want to talk about is Sierra. They raised $300 million. This is massive. So we're getting into April. It seems like these companies are starting to get more money, but obviously opportunities are big. But Kochu led this Series C round. Essentially, this is an AI-powered data security platform. Now, this is incredibly important. We're seeing more and more security breaches of all the big top firms. And a lot of times, data breach for a company means essentially the company goes bankrupt or it loses a ton of market share. It's really not a good look. I was just reading about a company this morning that suffered a big data leak where they leaked like almost all the social security numbers in America, which is obviously not great, but it was like a data platform and they just declared bankruptcy today. So that data breach obviously lost all trust in their company. They just can't continue anymore. So because of massive things like that, Sierra is valued at $1.4 billion. They're based in New York, and they had Sequoia, one of the top venture funds, Redpoint, and Accel that all jumped in on this round. So all of the top VCs were getting in on this one.
The next one we're talking about is, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this one, XAIRA Therapeutics raised $1 billion. They are a AI drug discovery startup. We talked about the importance of AI moving forward in medical research. This seems to be one of the major players, if not the main player in this industry, using AI to pour over DNA data sets and all that to target specific regions of the body for, I'm guessing, cancer research, all kinds of drug research. They just raised, again, $1 billion Series A. So that's going to be a really interesting to watch over the next year to see where they go. But that is crazy amount of money.
And when you see a company
The
that
next
raises
one,
like,
oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just saying, when you see a company that raises $1 billion in their Series A, right? Like you're seeing a bunch of these, it's like $100 million Series C, and it's like, wow, successful company that, they're doing great. But $1 billion in their Series A, what I see a lot, or what, the vibe I get from that is these people, not only are they doing like, oh, we're doing drug discovery. What I see is they discovered a drug. They discovered something that's worth an insane amount of money because they're not even saying what the valuation was. But if they raised $1 billion cash, insane valuation, and they ought to, like, these companies that are putting in Sequoia and NEA, some of the top VC firms, they know when these companies are crushing it or they're full of air or they're legit. So my guess is that this therapeutics company actually discovered a drug that's going to be worth 10 to 20 billion dollars, and so that's kind of how they were able to get this for their big Series A. The next one is Cognition. They raised $175 million from Founders Fund, which is, a big VC firm. Essentially, this is an applied AI lab startup. So they're just testing things pretty much the same way that OpenAI, that's what OpenAI was when it got started. It was just an AI lab. So they were just testing, experimenting, seeing what they could figure out. There's a bunch of these players that have been able to raise money. Usually when this happens, it's because the founders were already, successfully running other firms. And so they're like, look, these guys are pretty capable. They don't necessarily have to have like a product or a breakthrough. We just know that they're working on some cool things. And so that's how they're able to get $175 million. And interestingly enough, this $175 million was just a month after they raised $21 million in their Series A. So they raised $21 million and then a month later raised $175 million. And it's pretty interesting. Like their investors one of the co-founders of Ramp, one of the Stripe co-founders, Patrick and John Collison. So actually both of those Stripe co-founders. Then the DoorDash co-founder, Tony Xu. And yeah, this is amazing. The company was started just in November of last year, and they're already valued at almost $2 billion.
Crazy. Next one on the list is called Augment. They just raised $227 million. They are an AI coding assistant startup. So this is a Series B funding that they raised that money. So they're valued just shy of $1 billion currently. So in our last episode, we talked about another coding startup, but coding is definitely one of the big players here when it comes to AI startups. So Blaze is the next company on our list. They raised $106 million, an AI computing platform company. They started on April 29. So it seems like a very, oh no, it was founded in 2010. So it looks like maybe that was their Series D round was in April, but
Oh, yeah.
$106 million. Crazy.
Yeah, no, this is super, super interesting. These computing platforms are obviously worth a ton of money. We're going to keep covering all of these in our next episode. There is a ton. I hope that you're learning a lot about all of the AI projects that are taking off right now. And if you're interested in making money using these tools, or like these tools are currently making money, we'd love for you to join the AI Hustle school community, where we cover all of the AI tools that we are currently using to make money and how we're scaling and growing our business with them. Thanks so much for tuning in. The link for AI Hustle School Community is in the description. Leave us a rating and review if you enjoyed the episode, and we will catch you next time.